Hello, good morning. Welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. My name is Cindy. This is for February 11th. So first of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting my channel. Thank you for the amazing comments and the thumbs up. I am so grateful for all of it. And I just really want to just send out a heartfelt thank you. So, I gotta say, even though I'm Canadian, I was really, really profoundly disappointed with the ruling that the Supreme Court handed down regarding voting rights. I think it was for Alabama. And they just said, no, 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 no. They gerrymandered the hell out of it. It's fine. It's fine. Just let it be. So I want to take a look at kind of what's going on behind the scenes with Joe Biden, with the Democrats. I want to see if we can get a handle on how they are actually reacting and responding to what's going on around them. Not only the Supreme Court, but, the shenanigans that the RNC is pulling. It's time to just take a bit of a deep dive into Biden and the Democrats. So here we go. We'll give it a couple more shuffles. So it's the weekend, right? So make sure over the course of this weekend to take some time to recharge, to enjoy whatever it is that's available to enjoy. Maybe it'll be great sunshine or great weather. Maybe it'll be, you might be able to visit with people in person or with Zoom. You might be able to go out to a special lunch. Whatever it is, just take some time to really enjoy and appreciate the blessings of your world. Okay, come on down. I have a question. I do have my pendulum here in case, somewhere along the line I come up with some yes, no answers or questions. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Biden's and Democrats, Biden's and Democrats, Biden and Democrats. Okay, so here we go. So the Dems, are working hard. They are coming to realize that in order for them to get this sort of ship righted, in order for them to really get themselves into smoother waters, they've had to take a look at sort of their behavior. They've had to take a look at how they approach things. And and I've said this before and I stand by it. People who want the Democrats to act like the Republicans are sort of waiting in vain, because while the Democrats may get tough, they may get firm, they may get a lot of things, to stoop to the kind of insanity and craziness and corruption of the Republicans is it's simply not in their makeup. It's just not. So what they're doing, though, is they're looking at things and they're going, good God, how many more times can we be stabbed in the back? My God, how many times can this get dragged around, and then ultimately just kind of disintegrated? So this would be about, Build Back Better. This would be about the voting rights bill. So what you have is, in some cases, flat betrayal. Okay, and I'm thinking of a couple of senators who, kind of promise one thing or say one thing and then at the last minute pull out because I guess maybe their donors, I'm not sure, have a slightly different opinion about how they should view things. But there is a sense of sort of being kind of beaten down a little bit. But kind of don't lose hope or faith, because what's happening now is they're starting to actually figure out um, a strategy. They've been recalibrating kind of quietly behind the scenes, even going so far as the January 6th committee. I mean, they are starting to take a much more firm role, sort of a much more prosecutorial role. Tell I'm not a lawyer, eh? But they're sort of approaching this with more firmness, as opposed to, oh well, we'll invite you to come now. You're subpoenaed, get your butt in here, or come in here and plead the fifth, but show your butt up. So that's kind of this energy that's sort of taking place right now. And there's just sort of a bit of a transformation or an adjustment that's going on, because they're working so hard. And in some places, like, oh my God, you guys are doing amazing, right? Like, I mean, what was it I heard? Like when Biden took office, there was like 1 or 2% of people had been vaccinated, and now you're at whatever it is, 70, 75, So I mean, think back think back a year and a bit ago, and realize what was going on and how scared people were and how there was no vaccine available, and it was being directed and distributed in ways that only, I guess, supported certain areas of the country. And just pause and come back to where you're at now. One of the things that I think the Dems did not realize, or kind of weren't prepared for, they weren't prepared for that sense of how, I guess, low the Republicans would go. And it's not that they thought that all of a sudden, because there's a different president, they would behave. But organizations, excuse me, organizations like the RNC, stooping kind of to the levels that they're stooping to, that kind of thing. I think they really weren't prepared for that. I also don't think that they were prepared for two senators to really dig their heels in. I mean, typically when it comes to negotiations like that, what you have is, okay, I'm digging my heels in because I want 1, 2, 3 for my community, for my constituents, for my state. And then you're going to give it to me, and then I'm going to play ball nice. But that isn't what's happened here. These two senators are really, really making things very difficult for them. But more and more, you'll notice that the Republicans are now openly being referred to as a cult. That is something that, oh my goodness, 2 years ago would have been unthinkable. There was sort of this unwritten rule that you never say somebody was wrong and you never say they lied. Well, for God's sakes, now you've got Pence out there saying he was wrong. Yeah, he wasn't at all accurate. He wasn't viewing that situation as it should have been. So there are some shifts taking place. Okay, as I was saying, so you have way, way, way higher vaccinated percentages. You have amazing, apparently, job reports. You've got a really strong economy going on. So the reality is that there have been improvements, but what has happened is there's been so much focus kind of on what they're not getting done. And they are starting to figure out that they need to shift that focus away a little bit while they continue working behind the scenes to kind of get what they're trying to get. Okay. Things that you think have maybe been forgotten or pushed to the side, or they sort of failed or couldn't get it through, and so they're like kind of sweeping it under the rug. They don't want to talk about it anymore. That's actually could not be farther from the truth. What they are doing is they are working very diligently and very hard to work at those things behind the scenes and come up with different ways to get segments of things passed. And so a lot of what feels as if it has been lost or forgotten has not in fact been. And over the next little while, you are going to see that they're going to be doing things. How's that for vague? That is going to address some of what's going on the Supreme Court. That's going to address, you know, some of the real inadequacies, some of the real incredibly lopsided presentation of things. And there is going to be a push to sort of continue to, and like it is literally recover the stuff that has been lost over time. But I guess what I'm saying is energetically, what the Dems are presenting as is kind of like, okay, you know what? We've been been pushed into the sand. We've had sand kicked on us long enough. It's time that we really started standing firm and pushing back. And so that's sort of what's going on. So this card in particular is sort of that, come on, come at me. I'm ready for you. And I'm going to push back against your behavior and what you're saying and what you're doing. And so overall, energetically, they have gotten much more firm. That's the word I want to use. They've gotten more firm. Now, in addition to that, lovely, 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 lovely. This is about Biden, okay? He is going to continue on a upswing, okay? So, they tried to hit the ground running, and let's remember, he reversed a lot of really crazy stuff that had been in place, that had been put in place in the previous administration. But he sort of hit some roadblocks as he was going along. But energetically, things are moving and shifting for him. And he's going to discover that funds are sort of more available, or he can make them more available. He can loosen strings. He's going to find that his words start to have really far-reaching effect, so that more people are hearing what is being said in terms of the accomplishments and the strategies, etc. And I think this even applies to some degree to the committee. And when they start hearing those public sessions, people, again, there's always that percentage, but people who are at least open to the idea of hearing some truth, they're going to be paying attention, and this includes in traditionally red states. And this is in itself going to provide quite a boost, because at some point, so this is what's going to happen. So they're going to start doing these public hearings, and the Republicans are not going to have any defense. And so what they're going to talk about is, well, how much this cost and how much they're spending and the time they're wasting. But they're never actually going to address what's being said, because they don't have an answer for it. I mean, my God, if the best that they could come up with was for an insurrection, what did they call it? A political dialogue or something? Like, come on, people. So that's sort of where that's at. So Biden is going to continue on this upswing. As that is happening, there's going to be some really significant wins that he is able to tuck under his belt going forward. Additionally, his words or the messaging is going to start reaching broader and broader audiences. And that is going to serve well, just in terms of getting some of this stuff corrected. And in some ways, it is time for people to focus their irritation where their irritation belongs. Okay. So everybody is saying, well, Biden's a weak president, and Biden needs to get this done, and he needs to. Well, you know what? It's time to maybe start addressing why things aren't happening and start applying pressure where it kind of belongs. So instead of people screaming about, well, why can't Biden get these judges through? Maybe it's time to start talking to Mitch McConnell and saying, what are you doing? You cannot just be an obstructionist, particularly people who live in Kentucky, but frankly, across the board, there are messages that are going to start being verbalized, things that are going to start getting said and get put out there. And it really is going to have the ability of, I guess, sort of reining in a little bit of the more outrageous. So there's that. Now, I have said before, and I have yet to find anything that tells me differently. I still maintain that there are going to be 3 justices who end up leaving the Justice Department, and they are going to be replaced. Behind the scenes, I suspect that Biden is also looking to, he's looking at ways to adjust what's going on in the Supreme Court. So whether that is getting a few more judges, I mean, he certainly has the power to do it. And I know he has been resistant to it. But when you have 5 justices saying, no, you know what, voting rights are not important in this country, and states can just gerrymander the heck out of it to literally deliver them Republican votes, that's when, things have to stop. And I have to say, I think John Roberts, this is the thing about him, right? So I have to go on just a wee bit of a rant. This is the thing. Every once in a while, he sides with the Dems, as he did in this last situation. But he's done his damage, okay? Like, the damage has already been done. And it's interesting how, kind of when it's really important stuff, like women's rights or, voting rights, he sides with the Democrats. But even in doing that, they're still outvoted. So kind of the question is, but is he actually voting with them? Or is it just because he believes he should, or because he thinks he should, or he thinks it's the right thing, or because it is politically, it just looks better for him, right? And so he does this, and there's this, yeah, and Roberts, it's great. And then the next thing comes along, and he's right back in what we perceive as very partisan judgments. And this is the thing: the Supreme Court is losing more and more of its credibility. And make no mistake, that is not something that has been ignored or has been lost on Biden, the administration, or the Democrats as a whole. So, end of rant. But, we need to be, I want to say, sort of, you count your blessings and you give thanks where you give thanks, and you're grateful for whatever it is that's happening to shift and change things. But you also have to be a little bit cynical, frankly. You have to be a little bit less anxious to applaud behavior that in any other world would be considered simply appropriate. It would simply be considered the right thing to do. Okay? So let's, just sort of keep that in mind. But definitely there's changes coming to the court. And as I said, the strength card and the star card, the 2 aces here, it's really a lovely energy that's being created here, because it really is talking about gaining strength, gaining momentum, getting the courts, getting those judges onto the court, getting judges onto the court who are, and this is kind of the crazy thing, right? The judges that get put on the court by the Dems always are, center, maybe center left, but center, Whereas the judges that have been put on the courts by the Republicans are way left, okay, way left. And so that's where this incredible imbalance comes from. But as I said, energetically, things are shifting, and that's really, really a good thing. There is absolute frustration because, indictments aren't coming fast enough. Charges aren't coming fast enough. And whether that is in specific states or whether that is just broadly and overall, but understand that sometimes charging in is not always the best plan. Sometimes the law slows down a little bit so that they can make sure that they are able to cast a wider net, I guess is what I want to say. And let's also remember that there have been judgments that have come down under, Chief Justice Roberts' court that have in many ways impacted what some of these, certainly the Department of Justice is actually able to do. They have been weakened because of decisions made by that Supreme Court. And this is the thing that people really need to realize is that Supreme Court, the way it's made up, is going to be impacting Americans for a long time to come, okay? This is not going to be resolved quick. They might be able to get some balance in there a little bit before the next elections. They're going to push in other ways to get the Voting Rights Act through to some degree. And, it is a pathetic thing when the Supreme Courts of different states have said these things are so gerrymandered, it is so beyond the law, and then it goes to the U.S. Supreme Court, and they're like, no, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. There is retribution for that. There is going to be payment extracted for that. So, let's just be still. So this is the thing. Those things that you believe have been stolen from you or have not been given to you, they will come to fruition. And you're going to see it in the next, what is that, 10 months, I guess, till November? And you're going to see it in the 2 years that follow that. So let's just do a couple of quick pendulum questions, okay? Just because let's just do it. Okay, so here we go. Let's start with as Biden moves forward through the rest of this year, is he going to continue gathering strength and popularity? Okay, good. That's a yes. Are the public hearings going to actually be heard by many of the people who really need to hear the message of that committee? Okay, and that is a yes. Is the makeup of the Supreme Court going to shift or change within, in the time left before the next election? That's a yes. Is Biden going to be able to get his, I don't know who he selected or if it's still, but the black female judge, is he going to be able to get that through? And that's a yes. And oh my God, how racist do these people look screaming about it? It's just remarkable. And I think what slays me is that there's no shame anymore, just none. As a result of the midterms of 2022, are the Democrats going to be able to gain a stronger majority in the Senate? Yes. Are the House of Representatives, are they going to increase their majority? Yes. Are the benefits that people are gaining from the Biden administration, are they going to start to impact voting in a way that is beneficial or positive to the Dems? Yes. By time Biden is up for re-election, is the Supreme Court going to be balanced? Yes. Okay. Are important. Okay, so every piece is important in the Build Back Better bill, but are some of the more, I guess, important in the more grander scheme? Are some of that stuff there? Are they going to be able to get passed in kind of in other ways? Like, so okay, so some of this stuff is actually going to pass. Not all of it, but some of it. Spirit. The Voting Rights Act has been trampled. It has been decimated. And I'm not even talking about the current one, I'm talking about the previous one. Can we anticipate that in the near future, there are adjustments and corrections made so that it simply is not quite so racist? Can't even use the word bias. Yes, it's getting a strong yes. So you know what? I don't know. Frankly, I'm not quite sure how they're going to make this happen, but the pendulum has been very consistent saying that somehow or another they're going to get something through that is going to prevent some of the real racist. There's just not another word for it. Judgments or decisions that have been coming down. Is Joe Biden going to stay healthy during the balance of his pregnancy? The balance of his presidency. And maybe pregnancy is not so bad, right? Because he really is doing a darn hard labor trying to get some stuff birthed. We'll say it that way. But presidency. Is Biden going to stay healthy during the balance of his presidency? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So interesting thing. I heard that a lot of Republicans are sort of moving toward Pence. I guess because some of the more traditional Republicans are going, okay, well, he's not much, but he's the best we got right now. And so he's actually gaining some support within Republican ranks since he since he made that little speech. So, question though, is Pence actually going to be successful in any attempt to run for president? Okay, so no, he's not. Okay, that's what I know. So, thank you so much for being here again. Anybody who's interested, information on getting a private reading is in the description box below this video. I am currently booking about mid-March. Okay, so thank you. Enjoy your weekend. Be kind to yourselves and each other. Take care. Be well. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.